everyone, welcome to another video. This week I'll be teaching Melissa on how to work with Worbla. Last week she taught me all about how to do male makeup, and this week in return I'll be teaching her how to make a Worbla bracer. So yes, it will be lots of Worblaing and lots of heat gunning, and yes, do use a heat gun and not a hairdryer. So let's get started. Your plan was to make a bracer, right?
Yes.
Do you have a pattern idea in mind? Just the simple one it was, right?
Just a simple one, yeah, that slightly oblong kind of rectangle thing with like rounded edges.
Yes. Well, of course, first of all we have to start with, well, how big you want it to be. So, measurements for the top part, the part where you want to have it end, and then the distance in between.
So probably 7 inches. Whoop. I have thin wrist by about.
Also, do keep in mind that you want some place to pop in and out, so you do want to have a bit of space here and here, so basically a gap in between.
Yeah, so it'd be 5 inches at the top and about 7 inches at the bottom.
This was actually the very first thing I made with thermoplastics.
Yeah.
Which was in a workshop at a convention. So this is also just almost a bracer. Well, it is a bracer, but this one is made with a meshed thermoplastic with Worbla on top. And in this case, it just clicks on, and yeah, I think the bottom is a bit too open on this one, and I mean, especially since you want to use laces, you can leave it open like this, but since Worbla and stuff it can flex, but not that much. Make sure that the gap is big enough. And on the other hand, if it is too small, you can always cut it wider, because it's not fabric that needs to be finished neatly. You can just cut off more if it's needed.
Awesome. Do I draw the measurements onto here?
Yeah, that's possible, or you can draw it on paper first if you'd like to make a mock-up of some sorts.
I have wrapping paper.
Perfect. That's better than A4s.
3.5. And go up here, 3.5. And then do center line. The only problem with wrapping paper is it likes to curl up as soon as you let it go.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we have a bracer kind of shape.
That looks about right. So my plan is to, in the meanwhile, while I'm explaining to you how to make a bracer, I'm planning to make some more armor parts for this little guy.
Cool.
I already gave him a torso armor the last time I gave a Worbla talk, so maybe I'm going to give him a helmet today. So yeah, now the idea is to trace your pattern piece onto the Worbla.
Okie doke.
You can use any regular pen. That should be very well visible on the Worbla.
Oh good. That makes things easier. How do I stop this stuff from curling, or do I just have to like weigh it down?
Weighing it down is the easiest.
I'm dropping everything. No, you stay.
Weighing it down is the easiest, and the other option, if you have a really big space, would be to unroll it completely and put it upside down.
That's probably a better idea. Let me try that.
Okay, because I'm personally also struggling with my quite big roll of Worbla on my rather small work surface. I'm just going to cut out the piece and work from there.
Okay, yeah, that's better.
Oh, small tip, before we're going to do anything with the Worbla, don't throw any single bit of Worbla away. Keep everything, because you can actually use everything.
Cool.
So I always have a small bag nearby in which I keep scrap pieces of Worbla.
Cool. Okay, so trace.
There we go, a small bit of Worbla. It's very slippery if you want to draw on it, but it should show up very well.
It is, it's just the paper is rolling at the same time that the Worbla is rolling, so I'm trying to keep everything steady and held down. Okay, there, we have a piece. It is cut, it is drawn out.
Yeah, now you can cut out the entire thing.
And you said regular scissors will work, right?
Yeah, any regular scissors will work.
Okay.
I would not recommend using your fabric scissors, but that's for other reasons than not being able to cut the Worbla. So those are the only scissors I would not recommend to cut Worbla. Or maybe children's scissors.
Fair. Okay, this is surprisingly easy to cut. I thought it would be a lot harder.
No, it's a very thin plastic, so it cuts pretty well.
Stop curling. Okay. We have a piece. Well, the Worbla just fell on the floor. Yes, we now have...
Because you're working with just Worbla, instead of usually when you're working with Worbla, you put it over foam to have it be a bit sturdier. But you can use just Worbla, but then I would recommend to use double layered. So cut out the exact same shape again, because, well, you can stretch Worbla.
Okay.
So compared to foam and everything, you don't need to cut it bigger.
How to retrieve the escaping roll. Okay, first I want to correct the angles on this. It's a little bit wrong.
I'm going to try and make something that resembles a kettle helmet. I think that's an English word.
What's it called in Dutch?
Now that's the thing, I'm not too familiar with types of helmets, so...
Mostly I only know food words in Dutch.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, my aunt is Dutch, so I learned stuff like, was it boterkoeken?
Boterkoeken.
Yeah.
Boterkoek, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And, I'm trying to remember some of the others, yeah. Or like salted black licorice. I can't deal with that. That is such a weird taste to me.
Drop. Drop is heerlijk.
Drop, yeah. But the best thing is hagelslag.
Hagelslag, yeah.
Chocolate sprinkles on toast.
I think I had that for breakfast this morning.
Really? It is, to North American people, it is so weird, but it's chocolate sprinkles on toast, and it's the best breakfast ever.
It's pretty much a staple here.
Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, dessert,
Awesome.
with chocolate sprinkles on it.
Yeah. Oh. The Worbla just sprung across the room again. Okay. So we have two, and they should match.
Good. Now we can start the fun bit.
Cool.
Yes. Okay, the idea is, if you heat up Worbla, it will get sticky.
Okay.
It will get very sticky.
Okay.
Do you have a piece of baking paper? Anything that's non-stick, basically. So if you have a silicone mat, also works.
I have a silicone mat right in front of me.
It's also fine. Because Worbla will stick to anything. So the idea now is to heat up one piece of Worbla.
Okay.
And stick the other one on top of it.
Okay. Should I do the top or the bottom? Does it matter?
It does not matter whether you take the shiny side or the rough side, because both will be equally sticky. Also for the painting that does not matter, especially because we will be shaping it round.
Okay.
The very flat side will become a bit textured as well, so that does not really matter.
Okay.
And also, when you're heating up Worbla, it will change color a bit.
Okay.
I can show you what happens first, if you'd like. Let's see. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe I can try it like this. Well, we have a piece of Worbla. And you can try heating it up in bits, because very soon it will change color. Although with this light that's not too obvious, it will become a bit darker.
Okay.
And you can start to flex it.
Okay.
And the warmer it gets, the more soft it gets. At some point, you can also start to stretch it. The more soft it gets. Now this time it broke because it's not that warm yet. But it will get sticky at some point, and you just want to heat up the entire thing until it's sticky, and then stick the other one on top of it.
Okay, should I use level 1 or 2 on the heat gun?
Whatever you like. With a heat gun, both will work. 2 will go faster than 1, but I can imagine if it's your first time working with Worbla, you might want to start with 1. Just see what it does. And
sure, and how long should I keep it on?
Well, you can just turn it off and feel if it's pliable already.
Okay.
You will see the color change, and that generally means that it's heated up. The last time I gave a talk, I said Worbla can, well, not necessarily burn, but it can be burned too far. So I tried that, and it actually took me a few minutes to get that far. So
good to know.
That won't happen very fast.
Okay, let's give her a shot.
Good luck.
No, it's flattening out as I warm it up.
Oh yeah, that will happen. That's good. Correct.
Okay, let's see.
And then when it's a bit sticky, you can try and stick them on top of each other.
Yep, they stuck. Oh wow, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuck. Okay.
As I said, that stuff will stick.
Yeah, no kidding. It even sticks to the silicone mat a bit. Wow. That's cool. Okay.
Personally, I use a glass plate with on top of that a piece of baking paper. The glass plate is mostly for the heat to protect my desk, and the baking paper is for the non-stick part. I tried using it without the baking paper. That did not go well. I think I still have Worbla marks on my glass plate somewhere.
Fair. There's a couple corners that are pulling up, so I'm just pressing them down so that they stick and stay.
And that's the nice thing about Worbla. You can infinitely reheat it without problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically there's no limit to how often you can heat it up.
Okay, I might need to redo one corner here and heat it up again. Whew. That is hot.
I cannot recommend putting your fingers on the Worbla while the heat gun is also aimed at it.
No, that's a bad idea. Wow, that gets really soft, doesn't it?
So, now we can start the real fun part. Try to heat everything up about the same, so the entire thing. And then you can slowly start to shape it around your arm. So also make sure, once it's heated up, make sure it's cooled down a bit before actually shaping it around your arm. But it can cool down far enough and still be shapeable that it can touch your skin.
Cool. Yeah, that's super flexible now.
Yeah, so personally I heated up a single strip. This is what it looks like when it's single layered, which is very, very floppy.
Yeah, even this one is pretty flexible.
It's probably very floppy. Also, make sure it does not stick to itself because you cannot unstick it.
Oh, okay, good to know.
Yeah, and now you can just, well, put it on top of your arm and try to shape it in the shape of the bracer that you want.
Okay, that's actually nice because it's cold out today and it feels nice to have something warm on my arm.
Yeah, somehow I have the bad habit of working on full armors just the moment that a heat wave started.
I was sewing a wool jacket in the middle of August when it was like 35 degrees out because I'm stupid.
It also means that your Worbla cools down a bit slower, so it just generally takes longer to work with.
That's fair.
Which is also a good moment to mention that you should not leave Worbla in a hot car because it will melt.
Good point.
Because they will not necessarily completely melt, but at least there's a high chance it will warp. And if you have something like a full breastplate and it will warp, there's a big chance it won't fit anymore.
Or the paint might come
once
off.
you're in a convention, at a LARP, something like that, take it out of your car.
That is fair.
And once it has cooled down a bit, you can try and take it off.
Okay.
I mean, just... Good.
Yay!
Well, that's the basic shape of your bracer.
Yay! That's very exciting.
So now the main question is, what do you want to do with it? Do you want all fancy decorations on there?
I was thinking of maybe adding some like either like leather or metal looking decorations onto it. So I don't know if like doing some kind of, you know, scored pattern across the top.
And you can do anything. I mean, for my first one, I just put on a small piece of pattern. But my Skyrim bracers have friendly plastic texture on them. But I also used a soldering iron to burn patterns in there. That's also a possibility.
What about something like leather in the middle with like a metal edge around the outside?
Yeah, that's very well possible.
Cool, let's do that.
You did want to use the thing?
Yeah, the laces.
Words. Yes, you wanted to use leather laces. Maybe it's a good idea to mark out where you want those holes to be, so that you can think about that when you're adding your decorations.
That is a good plan. It's hard to get the pen inside now. Here, I'll do it here.
Yep. You can also draw on the outside. I mean, you will be painting over it anyways.
Yeah, that's true. So I've marked off the spots for the laces.
You might actually want to punch those holes right now,
okay.
Or you can punch those holes when you put the decorations on.
Probably a good idea to punch them now, so that I know where they are. So how do I do that?
I think the easiest way to punch them is to heat it up. And grab your pen and just push it through.
Okay. Actually,
I will try that first.
I have a little awl here that I can use for punching holes.
That will probably work a lot better, yeah.
Awesome.
Though it might happen that the Worbla will stick to it, but we'll see about that.
Let's try one.
Yep, that seems to work. As long as you don't heat up the Worbla very, very much. You can punch a hole in there.
Perfect. Yeah, that works well.
It will bend out a bit on the other side.
Yeah.
But if the Worbla bends out on the other side, you can heat that up again and just smash it flat on the table.
Cool. Heat her up. Push through. Smash. Ah, yes! Okay, this is fun. It's very forgiving, isn't it?
Yes, it's a very forgiving material. The only thing it's not forgiving in is the amount of stick.
The stick, yeah. But the holes are turning really nice. So.
Yep, I already expected wobbling to happen, but that's the nice thing about Worbla. You can just heat it again and smash it flat.
Great. I'm all about the smashing. Wait, I probably shouldn't say that. That sounds dirty.
Also, I'm not sure if your Worbla is having the same right now, but do you smell a very nice woody smell?
Yeah, I do. It smells like sawdust.
That is because Worbla is actually sawdust and plastic.
Oh, okay.
But that's one of the things I like about Worbla. The smell. Because, well, it smells really good.
I actually like the smell of sawdust. Fingers are getting a little warm. Whew.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Okay, that is one side done, and it is very rippled and warped.
Oh, that's, yeah.
So that will have to be fixed, but that's okay.
That's very well fixable.
Okay, now I gotta do the other side. Yeah. The rest of it's starting to like, drooping like a Salvador Dali painting.
Yep, that's the moment that it's warm.
Yeah.
I think it's starting to look more like a sun hat than a helmet. But
That looks very much like a World War I helmet. like the Tommy helmet.
Yeah, that's good. That was the kind of helmet I was going for.
Oh, cool.
So I think I'm going to make this a little extra helmet. The nice thing about Worbla also, and the reason why you're saving your scraps, is because if you heat up your scraps, you can clay with them. So that's what I will be doing with my scraps. Because Worbla is so much sticking to itself, you can basically, well, just mash it together and then you have clay.
Cool.
I should not have made a round object.
The shape of this is turning out so funny now because I keep reheating it.
Yeah, I can recommend at some point just reheating it almost, or at least the very bent bits, and putting it around your arm again.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Nope, that's too hot. Whew.
Worbla Regular is one of the cooler Worblas.
Yeah? Oh, wow.
There are some that really you need to work with gloves, but the regular one is still workable without gloves.
Good to know.
We've got a unicorn hat.
That's awesome. That's for stabbing people in the head. It's funny, my skin is so cold that it's cooling this down really fast.
As long as, well, if it cools down too quickly, you can just reheat it again.
Exactly.
The only thing for people with very hairy arms, it might also stick to the hairs.
Fair.
Yeah, if you're working with smaller bits or really impatient or anything like that, the other option is to keep a bucket of cold water next to you. You can just dunk it in the water and it's cold again.
Fair enough.
But then your Worbla is wet and it will generally just be a mess.
That is fair. You cool down. Stay. My dog looks up. No, I don't mean you. No, you're a good dog. You lie down. You're already staying. You're doing a good job. You keep sleeping. All right, I think we're good again. We now have a bracer once more.
It's, again, basically, what do you want for decorations?
Maybe like a metal edge.
What you can do is, well, at least what I did for this one, is just cut out strips of Worbla, heat it up, and stick it on there. You can also make a rolled edge.
Mm-hmm.
Basically roll up strips of Worbla and then attach it.
Okay.
Now this is also just a strip of Worbla stuck on and painted in a slightly different color.
Okay.
I think I'll just continue adding spikes for now until we have an actual mohawk.
I love that!
So yeah, that's basically, well, you can clay with Worbla and you can create all sorts of 3D shapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have slightly overheated my little bits of scrap. And I'm not sure if it's visible on camera, but you can see they're turning lighter color again. They're turning whitish.
Cool.
And that's how you know that you've basically overheated them. If you go any further, they'll get burned and they won't be as usable anymore.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's try doubling these guys up. Yeah, that definitely stuck. Now how do I get it off? Now it's sticking to my silicone mat. I melted it too much and that...
Ah, your silicone mat is getting warm.
Yep. That's a problem.
The option is to have your silicone mat cool down and maybe you can peel it off then.
Yeah, I can.
Warping too much.
I stretched it a bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, Worbla can stretch rather well.
Yeah, apparently so. Okay, I'm gonna try doing the rolled edge this time.
It's also basically what I did for the top of this helmet. I just cut out a flat plate of Worbla, then I heated it up, and I just stretched it over my little figure.
Oh, cool.
That's how I created the top of the helmet. which is also the way that most cosplayers create breastplates. They just grab this big plastic half dome and they stretch Worbla over that.
Oh, cool.
And then you have a breastplate.
Okay, so let's see if I can put this on the edge here. I need to heat it again. So yeah, I'm deciding to fold the strips in half and then just putting them on the edges of the bracer.
Yep, that works.
Yeah, it is very sticky. So if I were to heat this up again, could I like carve a design in it with my awl? Like, can you like just scratch?
Yeah, I think you can. However, because you're just using double layer Worbla and not something like foam underneath, it might get rather floppy.
Okay.
Or you might stretch it. So when you carve something in it, you should support it on the backside.
Okay.
And I think it is possible then.
I will give that a try.
But for my Skyrim cosplay, when I carved in these designs, I did that with a soldering iron.
Oh, cool. Okay, so I have the 4 edges on it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to just do like a diagonal pattern across the center with the scoring. Let's see if I can do that. But I'm going to mark lines because I can't draw straight lines for crap. Drawing straight lines on a curved thing is hard.
Yep.
Okay, so how can I do this? Ha! Okay, so I'm going to grab my paper roll and then wrap a big towel around.
Ah, yeah.
And then wrap the bracer around that. And that way, hopefully...
Do wrap something in between your fabric and your bracer, because if your bracer gets warm, it will stick.
Cool, I'm going to use the Worbla instructions. This is some serious, weird construction, improvisation going on here. That works. Okay, cool. That actually holds. Awesome. Oh my god, that might actually work, is drawing it in with a metal tipped pen leaves an actual really nice impression when it's soft.
That's good.
Ah, and I just broke the pen.
That's not helping.
Nope. So I have this. It's a fancy seam ripper, but I use the back end because it's smooth. Let's see if that works.
Yep, that might work. Just make sure that you don't put too much pressure on it.
No, very light pressure. Okay, yeah, that's actually working very nicely. Oh yeah, this is great. Oh my goodness, I already have some Worbla stuck to the heat gun.
Oh yeah, that will happen.
Ooh. No, that is too much. Do not warp. Stop. Yeah, it's a fine balance between melted enough and melted too much.
Yep. Was it stuck to the paper or?
No, it's definitely coming unstuck from the paper. That's fine. It's just the towel is holding in all the heat, and so as I was heating another area, the area before that was overheating and starting to warp. So I'm like, no, I'll let everything cool down a bit, and I'll just solidify all these grooves. Yeah, I find if I put my finger right underneath where I'm working, it helps it stay a lot steadier and not warp.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on the last line.
Nice. Meanwhile, I've started to clay a flower with my remnants.
Nice.
There we go.
Okay, I think I'm done. Just gonna let it cool a bit, but that's what it looks like.
Oh wow, that looks amazing. With the slight graininess of the camera, it actually looks like bread.
Perfect. And I'll show it to the other camera here so they can kind of see the leather tooling kind of effect that I wanted. I'm just letting it cool on my arm so it gets all the shape back. So do we do painting next?
If you want to, although there's, you've got acrylic paints, right?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, well, Worbla is a plastic.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have a lot of use and wear and tear, acrylics will not really stick for a very long time because it's plastic and it won't really attach that well.
Okay.
You can paint it with acrylics, but that's more for decoration actually kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What I usually do, for especially also for my big armors, is I spray paint the entire thing and then paint it with acrylics. Because then you've got a base coat where your acrylics can attach to.
Okay.
But for now, if you just want to see what it looks like with paint, sure, we can paint it.
Cool.
It's more like if you have a lot of flexing or actually scratch it with your nails.
It'll come off.
Acrylic will come off, yes.
Okay.
But for the purposes of demonstration, we can paint it with acrylics now.
Sure. Okay, I will move the heat gun out of the way. So yeah, I have the brown, which I figured I would do for the leather, and then black, like a matte black for aging and weathering. And then I have the silver metallic for the metal parts.
That should work fine.
I should probably get the plastic off of the paints. And I have a bunch of scrap plastic I was using, so I can use that as a palette.
That is always nice.
So do you have any suggestions on how to get started, or just go for it?
Just go for it. Yeah, just go for it. So I spray painted these completely silver and then I dry brushed black on it. So I put a bit of black on it and then I wiped away as much black as I could so that the silver came through again.
Yeah.
And then at the end I painted all the edges, painted those silver again. And that's, well, basically this result.
Nice. And how long does it take for the paint to dry on Worbla?
Oh, acrylics dries really fast in general, and also on Worbla. I mean, if the coat that you use isn't too thick, it should dry very fast.
Okay, but the paint is actually showing up the edges really nicely
that's really
too.
Nice.
And I think, yeah, you're right, the dry brushing will probably really make it come out more. Okay, I can see it's starting to dry already, so that's good. So I will do that edging part in the silver. Okay, yeah, the metallic is definitely going to need 2 coats.
Yeah, that's usually with metallic paints. Well, as I already said, I haven't found a lot of good metallic paints yet.
Fair enough.
But also, Worbla for small things. This is what a flower can look like.
Oh, that's so cute!
Light. There we go. It's better. I just really like Worbla for the lots of variety of things you can do with it.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, right now we're making a bracer and lots of cosplayers use it for making armor, but it can also be used for props, for, well, as I said, flowers, small decorations. And because you can clay with it, it's just, well, a material with lots of purposes, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Alright, the brown is almost dry, which is nice.
I also know that it can be used in theater for stuff like masks and all that sort of stuff. It's also used by artists to make sculptures, and I've seen it used in puppetry.
Yeah, it's great for when you need something and it's like, I have no idea where to find this. I have no idea how to buy this thing. What do I do? Okay, so the brown paint is almost dry. Probably another like 5 minutes. Should I try this?
Yeah, make sure to keep a good distance. You don't want to heat up the paint too much because then it might start to bubble.
Yeah. And I painted some of my hair into it, because of course I did.
That sounds familiar.
Yep. Okay, I think we're almost dry. So I am going to paint some black into the little tooling bits and then wipe it off as I go.
Yeah, you can. You can put it in the tooling bits, wipe it off, and also in the corners and at the edges of all the raised metal bits that you made on there.
Okay, yeah, that looks really cool. You can see some of the aging that's starting to...
Yep, that looks really nice.
Cool. I'll probably have to add more brown to it after, but that's okay.
If it would be an actual prop for something, I would probably heat it up again and smooth down all of these edges, but for now, I think this is actually quite a nice little flower.
That's really cute. Oh my goodness. It just occurs to me, there's an opera called Der Rosenkavalier, where somebody is presented with a silver rose, and I'm like, where the hell would you get a silver rose? And I'm like, now I know how I could get a silver rose. Make it out of Worbla.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a really nice and, well, multi-purpose material.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool.
But yeah, for bracers such as those, just using a double layer of Worbla is a possibility. But as soon as you're going for bigger surfaces like full breastplates and that sort of stuff, you really want to use foam underneath to have it help its structure, especially when you heat it up. Because as you probably already noticed when you were punching the holes, it gets floppy really quickly, and with that really wobbly really quickly. If you have a foam underlayer and you heat it up, it won't get wobbly as quickly because the foam will help it keep its structure. Mm-hmm. That's generally what I recommend for bigger structures. And then also, well, I'm a LARPer, so I also have made use of Worbla in LARP. But with a foam underlayer, you can use it in combat if you're making bracers, shin guards, or other smaller bits. Bracelets, it's great for bracelets and tiaras, all that sort of stuff. But I would not use it for full breastplates. That just gets too big, and if you get hit really hard with a sword or anything, I can't guarantee that it won't break. So
that's fair.
Worbla can be used in LARP, but not for everything. I also definitely would not recommend to use it for helmets, because head safety and such. And also Worbla, if you play with it and you have edges, they get sharp really quickly. So also make sure, if you're using it for LARP or anything else in which you get into contact with other people, make sure that you smooth down all of your points, because it can get really sharp.
Yeah, I'm noticing that with the corners, that they are quite pointy.
Yeah. What you could do is, but preferably before you would have painted it, you could have heated it and just rubbed your thumb over, and then you can just smooth down that tiny edge and make it slightly less pointy.
That's fair.
Also for LARP stuff again, looking at the Daedric armor behind me, do not make points like the shoulders and the helmet for LARP from Worbla materials, because those are points. LARP swords will break and get holes if you hit those kind of points. So just don't.
Cool. Just showing the camera. Oh well, you can actually see through it with the behind the light, because I haven't put enough.
Oh yeah.
I haven't put enough paint on it, so it's actually.
See-through.
Yeah. I think it needs another coat of paint. That's cool.
Up to you. So that was it for the skill swap with Melissa from of So Biased. I had a lot of fun with my makeup part, and I had a lot of fun tonight. I hope that was the same on your part.
Yes, it was great. It's been really fun. I'm going through a million things in my brain that I can make with this now.
That's always very handy, and I think I can make very good use of the makeup when I'm doing my next crossplays again. And, well, I had fun claying a rose or a flower from Worbla again. So for the Worbla parts, I will list everything that we used in the description box down below. I will also list all the materials that you need to get started with Worbla. So I hope that if anyone wants to start with it, that will help you along. And I hope everyone enjoyed watching, and see you guys next time.